Hello and welcome to Homer for Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. Today we will be reading from lines 753 to 764 in Book 11 of the Iliad. Today we will hear more about Nestor's achievements and also his jab against Achilles. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope you enjoy. Let's read it. Then Zeus vouchsafed great might to the men of Pylos. For so long did we follow through the wide plain, slaying the men and gathering their goodly battle gear, even till we drave our horses to Buprasium, rich in wheat, and the rock of Olin, and the place where is the hill called the hill of Elysium, whence Athene again turned back to the host. Then I slew the last man and left him. But the Achaeans drave back their swift horses from Buprasium to Pylos, and all gave glory among the gods to Zeus and to Nestor among men. Of such sort was I among warriors, as sure as ever I was. But Achilles would alone have profit of his valor. Nay, verily methinks he will bitterly lament hereafter when the folk perisheth. Awesome, let's sing it. Entas deus pliois mega kratos engu alixei to fragarone pometha dias pideos pedioio Kte non testautus dan attende a cala legondes Ofra pipu prasi Ofra pipu prasiu Ofra pipu prasiu polu puru Ofra pipu prasiu polu puro besaman hippus Petres dolanies caia lesiu enta colone Cecletai otenautis petra pelau onatene Entandrak de naspumaton liponautar caioi Apsapobo prasioi opulon de Akonokeas hippus Pantes del catoon toteon di Nestori tandron Oseone poteon gematandra sinao tarakileus Oios te saretes apones taete minoio Polomata clauses taia peca polau soletai Wonderful. I think the interesting thing here is that Nestor says, Enthandra ktena spumaton lipon. So I killed the last man, right? Why is it him, right? He kills the first man too, if you remember. So it's just interesting that he rounds out the conflict. I think exploratively, if you want to get maybe hyperbolic about what that means, maybe that means that actually the conflict doesn't end until Nestor says it's over. Maybe actually, because they say we ofrepibu prasiu polu puro besamen hippus, right? So we drove them all the way to the rich wheat buprasion, right? Besamen hippus, right? And I guess they were driving the Achaeans there, right? And then Athene turns back the host, right? So I guess what is the intentionality behind going all the way to Buprasium, right? I mean, that's kind of a while away to chase your enemies, right? Did some of them just keep running, and then Athene was no, you guys are good, you can turn around now, was it because of the fact that this hill, I pronounce it Elysium in my reading, but I guess it's technically Elysiu, right? Elasos, right? Elasios, or something like that. Is that right? Let's check. Whatever. Yeah, I think it's Elysion or something like that. But Elysium. Yeah, right. So is that because it's like maybe that's a fertile area where like they were able to like plunder a city? That's often a trait of this sort of outings of the boys, right? But I just think it's interesting to think of why Nestor is the one to end the conflict by killing somebody, right? But then it's Athena, right, that's mentioned before, that actually turns the host around, right? And then the Achaeans, notably the Achaeans, right? Even though this is so many generations before, turn away from Buprasiu, from the Iliad, that is, and they go back to, Pylos, right? And they all revere Nestor as a god, speaking in third person, as is the Iliad's wont. In the sense of like that's what they did. They cheered him on, right? And it's obviously like him himself, right? And then the last thing I want to note is these last three lines. I think are quite poetic. Hos eone poteonge. That as I was, right? So I was, if ever I would be, or sorry, if ever I was indeed, right? Among men, right? So I was so, courageous, right? Among warriors. If I ever were, right, even though, he's like, he's been dissuaded from war wise by his father, that's what he is. So he was among men, right? But Achilles, right? Hoios tes arates aponesetai, right? So Achilles alone would benefit. So he wouldn't even need to metandrasin, right? But I believe Nestor says that, instead he's just going to, lament once the Laos is destroyed. So his Laos is not going to be the Laon that Athene turns back after they get their horses. It's rather going to be the one that gets destroyed. And you see this wordplay here, right, with this hoios, at the beginning of the line with the rough breathing. And then oil, I believe, right, is what that means, I believe, at the end of the line. So beginning hoios and oil, right, sort of dovetailing the inner ring of these three lines as Nestor delivers the rhetorical punch. And so such was Nestor, right? And now Achilles, on the other hand. Oh, and part of the wordplay I should mention is not just that it's oyo, I believe that he will lament, but oyo is different from hoios. Hoios, such, hoios, oyos, right, is alone, right? So I think this is, maybe this is the one with the smooth breathing. I can't really see. It's too far away. Let's zoom in here. Yeah, so it's this one, right? So they're both, oh, shoot, now we're almost up. So yeah, it's this one that's, oios, right? And then it's versus aeon, right? Of like how he was being, right? Oios, like, so I guess it's not rough versus smooth. It's just smooth the entire time. But anyway, it's just like this, it's just I think it's like decisive wordplay going on here in order to situate Achilles' problem. Anyway, we will see the continuation of this, next time. Thank you so much for listening and entertaining my speculation on these lines. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.